You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. Hey there, welcome to episode 2, Seizing Your Sexual Power with Tiffany Ylverton. Today, I'm talking to Tiffany all about women owning their sexual power and how that relates to money. You'll be surprised at the stats and the tips and tricks and hints that Tiffany drops for us on this episode. I really wanted to bring Tiffany on because I've come to know that she really embodies this work. She lives her work, and she's got an incredible story. One of the things I notice is that women out in the corporate world or women business owners often adopt a masculine energy, and it's needed. It's a survival technique. It's really needed for them to get by and succeed. And that can cause some problems when it transfers through to their relationship. Tiffany knows all about this. She has lived this pain, and she's going to help us understand this and how it's showing up in our life and how it connects directly to our bank account. Tiffany is the founder and chief sexinista of Entice Me Soirees and Sexy Survivors. She's based out in Long Beach, California, a place that I love. She is known as the sex toy scientist and an orgasm guru to her colleagues in the medical field. And she loves to inspire women to love their bodies, experience the orgasms of their dreams, to eradicate the gender pleasure gap. Who knew? What I love about Tiffany is that she truly understands what it's like to be a woman in today's world, working in corporate, being a business owner, and how that affects us as we try to navigate relationships, dating, sex, Tinder, who knows what it is, or even just our own self-pleasure practice. I want to remind you to check out richliferevolution.com to get your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook. This is a key resource in creating your own Rich Life Revolution. Enjoy the show. Let's go off to the interview. Hey, Tiffany, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Michelle?
I am amazing. I am super excited to talk about this. This is a topic that I find personally very interesting. And you gave me some really great things to kind of prep for this. And so thank you for that. Perhaps you can just share with the listeners a little bit about your story, because I found it really interesting.
Yes, I have been in this industry for 12 and a half years. And everybody always asks me, how did you get into this industry of doing what you do? And it's been a lifelong passion of mine. I believe that sex is super important. And as women, we don't get the same messages as our gender counterparts. And so I wanted to create an opportunity for women to have open discussions and learn about their bodies and take back their sexual power, so that they can be jubilant and vibrant and just all the sassy goodness that we all have inside ourselves.
Yeah, I loved how you said to me, like you gave me a video to watch, and I loved how you talked about like in your corporate career, you had to just kind of like live this very masculine energy, dress masculine, and it just didn't feel right on you. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I was a restaurant general manager, and in that restaurant industry, which, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was very male dominated. And we had such strict dress codes, like we couldn't wear jewelry and we had to button our top button, and we just had absolutely no option to put anything feminine to our aura even. And I felt very shut down. I felt that when I got home from work, I had to flip a switch to be who I really was. and to even, be with my partner or with a boyfriend, then it was like, how do I switch this on after I've been in this path and in this position for 60 hours this week, and now I have to switch into a different person? And it just made me feel very incongruent of who I was.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Like in my career, in my corporate career, I worked for large and medium sized businesses, a lot of male energy in the finance world. And also, like, similar to you, like, I didn't have to wear like the safety shoes and stuff. We were expected to wear heels, but it was like the suit, right? Like, I remember when I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers, we were expected to wear a navy blue pinstriped suit, which was either pants or a skirt, and a white blouse that was fully buttoned up with a waistcoat and a jacket. And we never saw customers. I worked as a trader's assistant, like never interacted with anybody but coworkers, but that was the standard. And even though I was expected to wear heels, and so there was a bit of feminine energy there, it's just this overarching male dominant vibe kind of thing. And I have always, I think, personally embodied a lot of kind of doing energy, which can be quite masculine energy. And so it has sometimes been intimidating for me with a partner, like a boyfriend or my husband or whatever, where like I kind of come through the door with this really masculine energy and things don't work well. Like, or the other thing that I know has happened in my own life is like, if my partner has taken on a more feminine energy, and it feels like almost responding to my overly dominant masculine energy, it doesn't work either. And so I've really struggled with this in my life.
There's usually one person that's like the doer and one person that's more the giver in a relationship. I like to look at it more like that than masculine, feminine. And when you have those roles that you've already established and then they switch, it's very disconcerting to both people, and to try to get back on that equilibrium of where you both feel safe.
One of the things I love that I've heard you say several times is like, it's like this correlation between money and sex. And I remember I heard you once talking about it, like women have a hard time asking for what they want, whether that's in regards to money or sex. It's exactly the same problem. How do you say what you want in bed when you can't even say what you want to be paid to do your job?
It's so overarching that we have been taught as women throughout our lives and our mothers' lives and grandmothers and for generations, that you just accept what you're given and that it should be good enough and you should be happy to have a job. You should just be a good wife and, do your womanly duties. I mean, I have clients that are just a little bit older than me that's what they were told growing up. Your womanly duties. What the hell is that? Like,
right?
And we weren't taught how to communicate about intimacy. And then we're taught like, oh, just accept what you get. Don't be braggy. Don't be showboaty. Don't ask for what your male counterparts are getting, because we can't even have you know what they're getting because we know that they're getting paid so much more. And so we never get that ability to say, hey, this is my worth and this is what I want. And I believe it comes down to the amount and the way that we're taught about self-pleasure and how much we put that into our lives. If we look at men, they self-pleasure about 23% more than women, and studies have shown that. You look at the gender wage gap and it's at least 21 cents on the dollar. I think when we close that gap, when women self-pleasure more, they will make more money. We make more money. It's proven because we ask for what we want because of all the different things that happen when we self-pleasure.
Right. Totally. Amen. Hallelujah. Hell yeah, sister. Right? Women throughout history have been discouraged for talking about money and discouraged to talk about sex. There's a direct correlation. I love the percentage alignment. Like, oh my God, that's awesome. And you dropped a few stats on me in my research that I picked up, and I want to share these with people because I thought they were so interesting. You said people who orgasm 3 times a week or more experience 50% less heart disease and earn higher wages than those who don't. Okay, so that's phenomenal, right? You also mentioned that 40% of women would rather go shopping than have sex. 48% of women would rather give up sex than their cell phone. 50% of women who have been married for 20 plus years are fine going without sex for the rest of their lives. And this one I thought was gold because I love Napoleon Hill. You mentioned that Napoleon Hill wrote that the most successful people in the world are highly sexual beings. That is some gold right there.
I think there's another one that you can add to that is when women go from having 1 orgasm a month to 1 orgasm a week. It's like giving themselves a $50,000 raise on the happiness scale.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Because it's really hard to be upset when you are having orgasms all the time. It's just healthy. We all know those people that are like, whatever they have, I want it, and I don't know what it is. I would guarantee you those are highly sexual people.
So how do you get to be one of those women who walks in a room and people say, whatever she's got going on, give me some of that?
You have a lot of orgasms, and it's more important to have them for yourself from self-pleasure, because I'm going to tell you what happens when we self-pleasure versus when it's a partnered orgasm. So when we have an orgasm with our partner, the oxytocin, that's called the cuddle chemical, it is one of the endorphins that's released at orgasm and with touch and everything. It creates that emotional bond with someone else. When you create your own orgasm, that oxytocin is still going through your system. And instead of it creating a bond with someone else, it creates a self-love bond with you. And it's proven to overcome body image issues, to give you more confidence and self-worth.
Oh my God. I've never heard anybody say that.
It's amazing what it does. And then on top of that, we have testosterone that's released in the body, which helps to block pain receptors, which allows us to do things that we wouldn't normally do, to push past maybe outside of our comfort zone and ask for what we want. You know, ask for the money, ask for the sale, be comfortable going on live on a Zoom or on Facebook or speaking on stage. Most men, they'll tell you they self-pleasure when they're in stressful situations to release that stress and calm their nerves.
Wow. And this makes so much sense to me because what I've come to know, like people have asked me for so many years, like, you know, how do you create this, you know, awesome life you live and this $1 million business and blah, 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 right? And there's a lot of different things around manifesting and your relationship with money and all that kind of stuff. But truly, what I've come to understand is that my greatest evolution of my life and my wealth has come from valuing myself. And I can often be heard saying, like, you know, money follows service and money follows value. So as long as you are of service and provide value, the money will follow. It's just natural. It's the law of reciprocity. However, it starts with valuing yourself. So I love that you said self-pleasure releases that oxytocin and creates that bond with yourself. Like, that's amazing. That's going to build that self-value, that self-worth, that relationship with yourself, the self-love, right? That's like a mic drop for me. That's awesome.
It's so powerful, and men know that. Men have known that for generations and thousands of years. They've known how powerful sex is. Why do you think that they shame sex for women? And it's not anything against the men that are in our society right now. They're just a byproduct of it also. But we've been repressed so much sexually throughout all of time that it just has repressed us in that whole power piece.
I can imagine that for a certain part of our society, this is completely new information and might be uncomfortable for some people. Do you find that?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, we've been told as little girls, not me personally, but many women in our society and culture, and that's across every society, every culture, every religion. It's not just one. It's that we've been told that, oh, good girls don't do that. Or even if you're going to have sex, right? Our message as teens is it's going to come with consequences. You're going to get pregnant, you're going to get a disease, you're going to get a bad reputation. That's not the messaging that men get. They get, you're going to be a stud, you're going to get more popular, and you're going to have no consequences in your life when this happens. And then we get into relationships and we're expected to want to have sex all the time. And we've been told these things for the last 20, 25 years that we shouldn't want that, and it's bad, and we're going to get horrible diseases from it. And then, oh yeah, I want to have sex all the time with my partner.
Right, because it would become your subconscious programming, right? Like I talk to people about their relationship with money and how, our beliefs are formed at young age because of what we've seen and what we've been told about money and stuff. And even though we may not consciously believe these things or even sometimes be aware of them, but not understanding how they show up in our lives, I would think the exact same thing is true about sex.
Absolutely. And those messaging are often very similar. The shame and the taboo around talking about money, talking about sex, talking about pleasure, that too much is a bad thing. All those messaging, sex and money, the messaging is very, very similar, and it's in our subconscious. And I really help women to overcome that.
Right. Yeah. And how do you do that with people? Tell me what it's like to work with you.
I do a bunch of different modalities depending on the clients, but one of the things that I use to break through limiting beliefs is EFT, emotional freedom technique, and really the tapping on the meridians of acupressure to release the subconscious programming, the traumas around that, and then reprogramming in positive affirmations and positive thought patterns around the pleasure at a cellular level. Because we can think about it all we want and know that it's, that we're good and we're fine and we're have power. But until you clear out things from the cellular level, because sometimes it's even generational and things that we're holding, those traumas from past generations in our cells, and we can clear that out pretty quickly. And then just setting patterns and teaching women about their bodies. When most health classes in the United States, at least, you can't even mention the word clitoris or pleasure in health or sex ed. It's really hard when women don't know about their bodies. The clitoris is pretty much left out of all medical books since the late 1800s. So how can you know about your body and what's pleasurable if doctors can't even tell you about it, if you don't have anywhere to really learn about it? And so teaching women just basic anatomy to begin with, and then how to touch themselves, how to feel. We get so turned off by everything that's happening in our lives, and we're overstimulated that we forget to feel. We forget to feel into our senses and to smell and to appreciate, to look and, appreciate all 5 of our senses and learning about that.
Yeah. It's so interesting, right? Because I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying how, it was like texting with a friend who might become more than a friend, but I'm not sure, right? And then all of a sudden he dropped in some language that seemed abrupt to me, like of a sexual nature. And I was completely like I wasn't ready for that, right? And my friend was saying to me, that's what guys do though, right? You need to be warmed up to stuff. You can't just go from hey, how's your day to let's bang all night kind of thing, right? And then I didn't know how to react, so I just ignored it and pretended it didn't happen. And I think he did too. And then it's like this weird kind of elephant in the room kind of thing that nobody wants to talk about now. And I realized, oh, this is probably how I've been operating with partnerships since I was a little girl, right? Where it's like, oh, if something makes me feel uncomfortable, I just withdraw from the situation instead of speaking my mind or setting a boundary or saying what I want. That's not okay with me. Like, if you want to go down that route, it's going to take a lot more warming me up to get down to that level kind of thing, right? So it's so interesting.
Well, we have been conditioned that way as little girls. I remember feeling uncomfortable around certain men and hiding behind my mom. And no, you need to go give them a hug or a kiss, like, no, I don't. Like, we're taught, oh, this is okay, do this. Like, instead of letting us say, that doesn't feel good to me. That doesn't serve me. And so had some girlfriends over the other night, and we were talking even about like the Me Too and sexual harassment in the workplace, and how we ranged that night from about 40 to 60, and how we all had experiences, but at the time we didn't know it was even that. And we didn't know what to even do with it. Like, oh, okay, so that happened. I'm just not gonna say anything. It's just gonna be normal. And I'm just gonna go on with my day because I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, even though I was made to feel uncomfortable. We just shut down when that kind of stuff happens, instead of saying, why do you think that was appropriate to send me that picture?
Right.
I texted somebody that we flirted throughout the years. We've had a little bit of kissing and making out and stuff. And I was just like, hey, and we used to work together years ago. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, oh, hi, how's it going? And I get a dick pic. And I was like, I literally said, what made you think that this was appropriate?
Right?
Like, what? And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, yes, but I really want to know what goes through your head to think that when I say hello, how have you been? I haven't talked to you for 5 years, that you think a dick pic is the appropriate response to that.
Oh my God. I don't think I know what to do in that situation. Like, as bold as I am about some things, I think that I've shared with you, I think in our conversations before, like, I have a lot of stuff around that, like sex and my sexuality and stuff like that. And see, I commend you, because like asking the question, I think opens up a conversation. Hopefully he responded, but
he didn't. I don't think he knew how to respond. He didn't respond. He was just like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, really. And then we just stopped texting because he wouldn't answer.
And it's interesting, right? Because one of the things that I became aware of is it's specifically around money. And I think this so directly correlates with sex, is that where women were discouraged from talking about money, we then didn't know the wage gap for so long. And we might have assumed there was a wage gap, but we didn't actually know like exactly what it was. And if we were encouraged to talk about money, or allowed even to talk about money, and allowed our own bank accounts and our own credit cards and mortgages and all that stuff sooner than like the 70s, we may not have had such a large wage gap in the working world, right? And so I think the same thing of sex. Like, if we weren't discouraged from talking about sex and asking questions beyond like, are you there, God, it's me, Margaret, kind of thing, which isn't even about sex, right? But like, there wouldn't be this gap of knowledge.
Yes.
And sometimes I think like, what a disservice we have received as women in the world. And I know, like, I have girls who are in their early 20s, and I encourage them to ask questions. I don't have all the answers. I probably don't have hardly any of the answers, but I encourage them to ask questions and ask what they want with money and sex. I know that you had a retreat this year. I think it was in Aruba.
It was, yes.
That must have been awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it's really tapping into those pleasure senses and all of your senses to figure out who you are as a woman without all of your jobs and your roles and your responsibilities of life, but to get away and just peel all those back so you can find out, discover you as a woman so that you can learn how to put yourself first so you can be the best at everything that you do. And really tapping into that, into pleasure and creating a life that you want to live every single day, not just when you're on vacation.
I love that idea. I so want to go.
I do have other programs that go on throughout the year, though, in addition to that, that are a good stepping stone, too.
Yeah, and we're going to get all the details of everything that Tiffany does is going to be available to everybody in the show notes. And I would really, really encourage everyone who's listening to check this out because there is a direct correlation between sex and money. So one of the things I want to ask you about is orgasmic manifesting. This topic is super interesting to me. And now I am not an expert at this at all. And maybe you have some resources for the listeners, but tell me about using orgasms to manifest your desires.
Well, if you think about orgasms, they are life force energy. It used to be thought that if you didn't have an orgasm, you couldn't even conceive a child. And so that energy moves through your body and it's very powerful. So make sure that when you're orgasming, not just thinking about random stuff, but you can really say, okay, this is my goal. These are the things I want to come up in my life. And be thinking about those when you orgasm, and it's going to bring that energy through all of your chakras in your body.
Oh, that's so powerful.
And it's very, very powerful of what we put our minds to. And, you know, I believe our thoughts create our actions. And when you've got that energy and that power that's aligned in your body, when you really bring it to your heart center and into your mind and into your sacral chakra and your root and just really like align it and go, this is what I want. This energy is going to be flowing more freely through yourself and into the universe.
Yeah, for sure. Our thoughts create our reality, right? Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of that. And our energy creates our reality as well, right? And I think that it just totally makes sense. I wonder, like, it's like something to remember to do, right? Because I'm not sure it would be like on your top of your list of things you're thinking about while you're having an orgasm, right? But yeah, I want to try that. I think that sounds like
Well, it's really focusing that energy and just thinking about like what you want to put out into the universe.
So if somebody wants to, dip their toe, like this is really new information for people. They want to kind of dip their toe in building their sexual confidence as a sexual being in the world. What's one thing that they can do? Like, what's that first step?
The first step is to connect with yourself and just start bringing oxytocin into your system in a non-sexual way. And a really easy way to do that is when you shower, you just start to feel the water on your body. And when you're washing yourself, feel your body and feel the temperature and the texture of the water and what it feels like. And then when you're, drying off, appreciate your body and thank it for being there. And when you're putting on your body lotion, take an extra minute and rub it into your skin. That touch is going to start to bring oxytocin into your system. It may be a little bit dormant, but we touch ourselves all day long. We do our hair, makeup, everything, but we forget to feel. And so just learning to feel your body will give you a connection point that's different. Because a lot of times I find that, especially with women that are in really masculine dominated careers or overwhelmed in their everyday life, that they're just kind of like separated from their body, and that we can bring it back together by just touching ourselves and just hugging ourselves, feeling your face, taking a couple extra minutes every day and just going, okay, this is what it feels like to touch this is good for me. And that's a great place to start. And it's not genital, it's just touch your legs. You're going to find places that are activated and maybe give you little tingles that you haven't touched in a long, long time. It's a great activity to do with a partner too, to do on each other, just to take time and slow down.
Yeah, because, my kids are grown now, but I think about, when they were little, like the point that you have a little person in your life, something as simple as a shower becomes like this thing you just got to get through, right? Like I got to try to get a shower without somebody interrupting me, or, there's somebody on the other side of the shower door staring at you, waiting for you to get out of the shower. And like, who has time for body lotion when you've got 3 kids who are screaming they want their chicken nuggets and their French fries or whatever, right? And so that for me was for sure a step in like caring for myself, was to find like a body oil that I just love the smell of. And for me, it's kind of like a orchidy kind of smell that I love. Actually taking the time and putting that on after a shower, right? Because I spent so many years just like hop in the shower, hop out, like as fast as I could wash myself, and then I'm out, towel dry, get the next layer of clothing on and hit the road to whatever we're supposed to be doing next, right? And there wasn't this self-care involved. And it's something so simple. So I love that suggestion.
There's so many little things like that we can do in our day that don't have to be like, oh, have a spa day to get in touch with your, for self-care. You can just use that body lotion or that body oil that you've been saving up for a special occasion. Use it every day. Put yourself in luxury every day of the things that make you feel good. Eat the foods that make you feel good, that you want to eat.
Oh, totally, right? Like use the good china.
Yes.
Like we don't need to wait, right? We can eat the good food. We can wear all the good lotions and all that stuff. Use the good shampoo, use the good china, use the crystal glasses that sit in the cabinet until Christmas comes along. All of that stuff, right? I think we don't need to wait. If there's anything I've been reminded of over the past couple of years is like, there's nothing to wait for, like do it now. Thank you so much. This is amazing and such valuable information. So as I said, we will put all of the ways to contact you in the show notes. Where can people follow you? Where do you like to hang out online?
I'm on Facebook most of the time, or Instagram, but Facebook is where you'll find me. Just Tiffany.Ylverton on Facebook. I'm there. I do a lot of video content. I can always just direct message me.
I love it. And I just adore you. I think you're so relatable, so approachable. You are one of those people that walks in the room and people go, give me whatever she's having. Like you just exude that. And so I just love that in you, and you're very inspiring. So thank you for spending this time with us. Love it.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for saying that. I don't feel like I used to be that way. Before I found my orgasmic self, I definitely would not say that I was that person that turned heads. And
oh, I think so. Like we were in Cabo together last year, I guess. And definitely there was one point where I saw you walk in the room and I was like, that woman's got it going on. And then I remember seeing you by the pool and I felt like crap that day. And I was like, God, what is she drinking? I need some of that. Like, so you definitely got it going on, sister. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Before 25, I used to have that perfect Barbie body and everything and thought I was so heavy. And now at a size 18, I can rock it. So
isn't that crazy? I think that's crazy. Like me too. I think all of us are like that because I was the same. Like I look at pictures, even my daughters, they look at pictures of me when I was like, from 16 to 30 kind of thing. And they're like, God, you're so skinny. And I remember thinking I was like crazy overweight and ugly and awful. And I'm like, what was wrong with you? Like, if only I could go back in time and say to that Michelle, like, stop it. You are beautiful and amazing. And like, if somebody doesn't see that, then they shouldn't even be in your world. And it's not that people didn't see it, because I had a boyfriend, he adored me. Like, I had friends who thought I was awesome. So it wasn't really like it was some conditioning. And I think there's so many people who, like, so many women, I'm sure men too, but so many women who have that, and they look back and go, oh my God, was not even a thing.
I was watching a show the other night, and I thought it was just, this kind of wraps this up, of the girl was sitting there and she's like, why, and she's a teenager in it, and she's like, why do we have to wait as young women for other people to tell us that we're pretty, to validate us, that we should just know that inherently, kind of thing. And it is, we should just know. I think you and I grew up in that time, kind of like, oh, well, we don't want to, we got to tell them they're smart, not pretty, pretty's vain and all that. But it's important to say pretty also. You can be smart and pretty. It doesn't have to be an either or.
Totally. It's both. We're all of the things, right? Pretty, sexy, smart, strong, all the things, right? It's embodying that.
Yes. We're all beautiful in our own ways.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this, Tiffany.
My pleasure.
This is one of the early episodes of Rich Life Revolution, and I'm so grateful that you said yes to my invitation and to share this message. And I really, really encourage people, if any of this resonates with you, if it speaks to you, reach out to Tiffany, learn more about what she does. She gives so much away, so many gold nuggets away. Just follow her online and watch her videos and do all the things. And then, I don't know, maybe come hang out with us in Aruba, because I need to get there for sure. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had so much fun recording this and talking to Tiffany about how sex relates directly to our bank account balance. I was really surprised with the stats that Tiffany shared with us, and very interested to hear that people who orgasm 3 times a week or more experience 50% less heart disease and earn higher wages than those who don't. That was a mind-blowing moment for me. So I think the biggest gold nugget for me in this episode was understanding that there is a direct link between sex and money. If you're unable to ask for what you want in the bedroom, you will most definitely be unable to ask for what you want in the boardroom. As in a higher paycheck, as in higher fees. If you're an entrepreneur, you're just not going to be able to ask for what you want in regards to money if you can't make that simple request to your intimate partner. So I'm going to have to get better at that for sure, because I wonder if that is something that I change in my life. Will I see a change in my bank account? Stay tuned and I will share the progress. I would love to hear what nugget you are taking away from this episode. The best way to do that is to email me at hello@michellebcooper.com. But you can also share a DM on your favorite social media channel. As you know, all the links are in the show notes. Be sure to check out episode 3, where we're going to be talking about cleaning up your financial chaos. I mean, cleaning up your mindset, tidying up your energy, and cleaning up those dollars and cents. This is a real good episode with real tangible takeaways, so don't miss it. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.